also understand now. I'm changing my place. I'm one person. I want to explain something about this. So we have seen so far two different approaches. First, we have made the multiplication inverse multiplied by final demand. That means if we have in mind our transaction matrix, a combination of this one to gross output. The second what we have just done was we have multiplied the other one is more better. We had AP multiplied by C. Also connection between intermediate transaction via primary to our output from the input side, so the input or the output both are the same. What you see from this formula? In both cases we have to do with the same inverse. Why we are not combining and say AP multiplied by C multiplied by Y. So the two approaches we have just seen can now be condensed in only one analysis by building the linkage between primary input and final use. That means an interlink, what is shown in our graph this way. Primary input are shown here, final demand will be shown here, and we will now quantify this linkage. Second quadrant, third quadrant, first quadrant by the inverse. This one can be done separately, this one can be done separately, but both can be combined in one approach, and this approach will be our AP multiplied by C and multiplied by Y. And we will now go into this. You see it is described as interrelation between primary input and final demand. Primary input AP and final demand Y. Interesting is to see that you can also make it again individually for branch-specific analysis. And now we will see how this one is working. There we see already the same formula which I have written to the blackboard. You see in the last part, you see the AP multiplied by C multiplied by Y. AP inverse Y. Or we have seen that the first one was F multiplied with Y. So all is the same, and we arrive at the matrix that we call G. The matrix G indicates a primary input component attributed to each final demand category. We will now show the link which is available in national accounts. The link between the expenditure side and the income side on the production. In other words, the final demand categories are thereby expressed in terms of primary inputs. I could show you how much of compensation of employees has contributed to private household consumption. How much of the intermediate imports are included in your export of Mongolia? All these questions which are combining the final use, the final demand with the primary inputs can be answered by our approach which we are now looking at. There's already our result. Let's go back again how we made it. we took the matrix AP. You know the matrix AP. I go again because I think it's of interest. I have to go again quick to the matrix because I believe it's easier to understand only showing the result. So, I will try to show you the connection, the individual possibilities that you can combine. We know the matrix AP, our input coefficient matrix, is a matrix that has 5 rows and 20 columns. These are the rows, primary input component, and these are the columns. Our matrix C is a matrix with 20 rows and 20 columns. And our matrix Y is a matrix with 20 rows and 3 columns. Consumption, capital formation, and export. Can we combine these three, if it's possible from the mathematical point of view? If I know the first matrix, I have here 5, 20, 20, 20, and 23. Yes, it can be done, because what I tried to explain to you, the so-called inner product is always 20 columns in AP can be multiplied via 20, can be multiplied via 20 rows in the inverse. And if you have made this computation, you can also multiply it with a Y, because also in the Y matrix we have 20 rows and 3 columns. What will be the final result? It will be a matrix, and this matrix will be of the size 23. No, excuse me. Well, right. I think someone has excellent. Yeah, I have not made the error to see if you are reacting. Sure. All right, because I think we have the beginning, this one, and we have the final one, this one. So our resulting matrix, you are full right, excellent, would be 5 by 3. Let's see whether it is this matrix which we have derived. Yeah. It's not really correct because if we take into account also the intermediate import, we have 6 rows, I see here, but I think no problem, maybe have 5 or 4 or 6. We have here imports up to operating surplus, and these are 6 rows, but we have 3 columns for the finding use. So, now becomes it this of high interest to see whether all our compilation or calculation are okay, or whether we have made some mistake. Because we have the chance to compare the totals in the last column and the totals in the last row with our basic input-output table. Look back to our basic input-output table. I think we have it 3 times. I think the best would be if you go back to part 4, I think the last paper, where you have this table, IoT for linkages. I don't want to go back now to the other paper, but I believe you can make it on your own because it's easy. Please look to this table at the beginning of our part 4. What you find here as total in the row number domestic intermediate consumption 1 to 20, 5 to 7. This is this figure. This figure. It's reflected here as total of the second quadrant for final consumption. The next figure for capital formation, 2,597. is reflected here as total of 1 to 20 again in our second quadrant. And finally, our exports are also reflected with 4,324 in the column for export. You have found it? No, I think that you have not the right table. I think it is from part 4, I think the last lecture, which we had just before, on page 5. Yeah, I think it's the slide, page 5. So. I've just heard that you have a little bit different. I think this one, I think the translation, as I have here in my original, you have more on the back side also copied. I on page by page. So I think it might be different in your part. But I think you must know already now after 1.5 days the input-output table. And there you might find the final demand, the second quadrant. I cannot tell it 1,000 times. I believe you must understand that already after 500 times. I think that, okay, if you have not found, then it's okay, a pity, but I will go ahead. So this is the total of the column final consumption expenditure in the input-output table, 20 by 20 for Mongolia 2010, as the first column, the first vector in the final use in the final demand. And the same will be here with the second and the third figure. Can we also find the data for the primary inputs, also reflected in our input-output table? Sure, it's the same. If you look for the row import in this table, you will find here in the column, it's called intermediate consumption. These are the 21 to 23. You find here again the figure. What is there also mentioned for intermediate inputs? 3,048. Here is the figure. And all the other figures, including the compensation of employees, with 2,199. So that means all the totals of the primary inputs in absolute terms equal in total the totals of the final deduced. So at the end, more or less, you have here the identity between the expenditure side with 12,000, expenditure side this one, all the three final vectors, with the primary input side, which are shown here. So you see the total here, which is shown here in this element, the 12,000 is also reflected here. Total primary inputs are total final use, total final demand. For that reason, also the title of this analysis is Total Primary Input Attributed to Final Demand Category. Why? Because we have seen it is a combination of the attribution of the inverse multiplied with final use, the multiplication of primary inputs with the inverse, both together shows us now not the coefficient but the absolute figures in our basic input-output table. It is the best consistency checks you have. You can also make if you are compiling national accounts. In both approaches before, we have seen the possibility to disaggregate our totals by the industries involved. And the same can now be done with our condensed analysis. The calculation just presented does not quantify the contribution of the individual industries to primary inputs contained in final demand categories, primary inputs contained in final demand categories. How much, what you could see here from this point of view, that I have not made the interpretation. could show you. To satisfy the final consumption expenditure in Mongolia, we need total intermediate imports of 1,095. These are all, we have seen all intermediate imports, and now we can identify for what reasons the imports have been done. They are needed for satisfying final consumption expenditure, they are needed for building up capital formation, and they are also to a big amount needed to satisfy the exports of Mongolia. Compensation of employees are included or are necessary for final consumption expenditure of this amount, for capital formation of that, and for export of this amount. You see also operating surplus and mixed income in Mongolia, 2,396, 1,200, 2,236. You see the exports are very effective because they also bring to your country acceptable or good amount of operating surplus and mixed income. The other way around, you can make the interpretation also. You can say the final consumption of expenditure induces in Mongolia an amount of 1,282 compensation of employees. I think it is the old problem, who is first, the egg or the hen? The egg or the hen? I think the eggs are coming from the agriculture or from the chicken, egg and chicken. I think who is first, the chicken or the eggs? Where is the start point? The start point is final demand has induced this income side, or income side has contributed to satisfy the final demand side. Because those are interlinked. The same as I think with our national accounts. Expenditure side and here the primary input side. What is first? First the compensation of employees, and then later on the final consumption? Or are first the final consumption, and then comes the income development? But I think it is a circulation. For that reason it is difficult to say, I start here, I start there. So I think that is the most important issue, and that was this one what was mentioned here. The calculation does not quantify the contribution of the individual industries to primary inputs contained in final demand. We have only seen how much of the primary inputs has been contained, has been contributed to the final demand categories. But now we can do the same what we have already done for our market analysis or for our branch-specific analysis. You see again, here I think the same result. ADP multiplied by C multiplied by Y. Or we take from our last compilation HP or HI for the branch specific, and that is for total. And the resulting matrices show the amount of all primary input and individual primary input components required totally, directly and indirectly, by each industry to satisfy the given final demand categories. This expresses a very important sentence: the primary input content of each industry in final demand. To what amount each industry has contributed with its primary inputs to final demand satisfaction. You see again, it's the same formula, but not without, now with Y, because before we had only DAPC, DAIC. Now we multiply it again with our final use, because we want to combine all three quadrants. Second quadrant, third quadrant, using the inverse in the first one. Now again, a branch-specific analysis for all primary inputs. You see again in the last row, all primary inputs, 5,000, 2,000, 4,000. Let's go back, where we have here the data. Here are the data. 5,000, 2,000, 4,000. Here we have the disaggregation by the different input, primary input components. You the other compilation, we have the contribution of the 20 sectors with all primary inputs. If we go one step further, we can make this branch-specific analysis for the individual components of primary inputs. Here we have done it specifically for intermediate import. Let's look to this row. 1095, 700, 1001. Let's go back to our computation before. So we must type it in the first row. Yeah, there are the figure again in the first row. You see the comparability to what we have done before. But before we have only made it for one unit, now we have multiplied it with final use, and then we make it all the absolute figures. I like this one better than the other one, because the other one is a little bit more abstract. But here you can see the consistency within your own compiled input-output table. Because from both sides, from the demand side and from the primary input side, we have the same total or the individual total if you go beyond this one. I will show you another one. I will show you. I believe that can also be done. Branch-specific analysis, you can also check the consistency with your basic tables. Look again to your input-output table, please. And look to the row in your basic input-output table, to the row of imports. That is row number 21. Intermediate imports in the basic table, intermediate imports. Look what figure do you find for the first column for agriculture. You find the figure 212,190. Do you have this figure? Look to our compilation. Here we have the same figure. Aha! All these figures which are shown here sector by sector for intermediate imports are the same as they are presented in our basic table in the row of intermediate imports. Here we have the row 21, and we see the same figures which are shown here in the last column are also reflected in our basic table. I think that must be the case, because otherwise there must be a mistake in your compilation. Because what we have done here, we have attributed intermediate imports to final demand for each industry. Each industry means our 20 branches in our IoT. And you see here, this row is the same as the last column. I think the same. I think we have now compensation of employees. We have, I think, compensation of 45 in agriculture. Aha, here we have the same. The row for compensation of employees in our basic input-output table is reflected in our analytical approach because we attribute the compensation of employees to the final demand, and altogether comes up with our data which are shown in our basic table. So I think it is not only the checking possibility for the overall totals, but also the checking for each of our 20 industries, our 20 sectors, our 20 branches. The same what we have done before with our market analysis. we have looked how much was the production of the individual branches. Is that reflect in the final demand, and it was reflected in the final demand. So it's the same now we have done for the primary inputs or for the individual component of primary inputs, if we have combined them with the inverse and attributed them to final use. Same can be done with operating circuits. Take the last row of your basic table, and in the last column you will find again our 20 figures, which are consistent, which are fully agreed with our data. And here it's very interesting to see there's again some negative issues with water supply, if you see in the row number 5, which are allocated or which were attributed, as we had seen before, according to Texas minus subsidies. So, I have, before the coffee break, I have only to add some practical examples for diagnosis. I have here compared Mongolia with Brunei Darussalam. What I have compared? I have compared the direct import, the indirect imports, and the total imports for both countries. What is now very important to know? So far, if we have discussed imports, I have always mentioned intermediate imports. And you have learned, I hope so, in the 1.5 day, intermediate imports are imports which are further processed in Mongolia. They are not directly for the final use. In the final use, we have a specific row that is in the second page of your IoT for 2010. You have here a row imports. Unto 1 to 20 columns, these are intermediate imports. And then there will be added the final imports. And you see here 966. You see these 966 as direct imports in million bricks, also for final consumption expenditure. Here again in the table. You see the direct final imports for gross profit information and also for export. These three figures are reflected here in the so-called fourth quadrant of the input output. The first data for the fourth quadrant. Here filled in only with import and with Texas subsidies on quadrant. Now you see that also the term fourth quadrant has its relevance if you have the booking of the direct final imports are shown in the table. Yes. Then we have the indirect imports. The indirect imports we have taken from our intermediate calculation before. So, here's the figure. Indirect export, indirect import for final consumption expenditure are according our computation. And as I have shown you just before, the computation means that we allocate the intermediate imports to final consumption, to gross capital formation, and to exports. I will go back, but not so quick, step by step. That might be easier. Okay, we have here the same already disaggregated by the 26. Here are the 1095 to 798, and this one, which was in the aggregated table also before. But here you see which sectors have taken into account the intermediate import and have contributed with them to the final consumption expenditure. So, we take the direct imports, we take the indirect imports from our computation, and we arrive at total import. Direct import plus allocated or attributed indirect export bring us up with total import. And you see in our basic input-output table, you see this figure, the total 5,529 are the last column of our imports, intermediate imports plus final imports for final demand, comes up with the same figure, 5,529. So again, these primary inputs, in this case our intermediate import, have been transformed to final use. That is this total here. Adding the direct data from our basic table comes up with the total. The same I think we have done for Brunei Darussalam. What I have shown it to you because I want to pinpoint the different percentage distribution. You see the direct imports in Mongolia, if we set them 100%, direct imports are mainly used for capital formation. Secondly, then for final consumption expenditure, 39%. If you look for Brunei Darussalam, you see it is quite the opposite. Only 90% of direct imports are needed for gross capital formation, but 52% for final consumption. If you look at the indirect, they are more comparable. 35, also the same problem. Here I think lower, here are higher, 26, 18, and here we have indirect imports for export, 37, and here we have 24. If you take both together, you can say to satisfy the export of Mongolia in the year 2010, we needed imports. I think we should look more to this figure, because that I mentioned yesterday. If you have in the fourth quadrant interlinkage between imports and exports, these are mainly goods that are imported, they are wrong, they are wasted goods, and they are re-exported again. This is this amount, but these are the intermediate imports that are needed in the production process to produce the goods that are sold for export. This one. So I think you see, you can also make inter-country comparison with the IO if you have two tables and you can compile the corresponding relations. We have also looked for intermediate imports required for final demand. I think these were my first consultancy I have done already in the year of the last century. In the 80s, I was 10 times on the island of Cyprus. Cyprus is an island in the Mediterranean, and there we made the same compilation. We have shown for what reason we have needed the intermediate imports required for the different final use, for final consumption, government, costly exchange and stock, because this is more or less the same classification you have now in your table, but we have had also the changes in valuables. During that time we had not in the SMA the inclusion of the valuables. And you see here the percentage distribution. You see of the intermediate import, the biggest part was used for final private consumption, 32%, then also again for capital formation, and all the other are negligible. That is another example what I have already mentioned yesterday on our automobile manufacturers meeting. Gross value added of the German economy induced by motor vehicle related production sectors in Germany. I think what is interesting to see that if you have a lot of input-output tables, you can also make a so-called time series. And you see here what we have here shown. We have shown the share of gross value added of the German economy attributable to output and capital expenditure of car or automobile-related production sectors. And we could see the share of gross value added. This is the domestic part, and I think you could see how much was contributed by Germany, all the gray one, and this one. These are shares of gross value added that are in use, I think, and which are not produced inside Germany. Potential loss due to import. these are spare parts, these are parts of the engine, as I showed you yesterday. The backward effect, they are imported, but according to the imports, you are losing gross value added in your own country, because the products are not produced in Mongolia, but they are produced abroad. So the gross value added has been created in the other countries and not in Mongolia, and here not in Germany. I think it is the point which I mentioned in my first lecture yesterday, that your imports compared with your own domestic production are too high. You must produce more of the manufacturing part in Mongolia, because then you can save a lot of money for the imports you at the moment are needed. Okay, thank you for your attention again. I believe we are on excellent in time, so we can now have I believe we have the copy. So, Rick, how you want to make something?